Hello everyone, welcome to sqadia.com. I'm Uzair Hashmi and today the topic of our discussion is membrane structure and function. Now in this particular section we are going to start off with the discussion of structure of plasma membrane. As it's a well-known fact that the plasma membrane plays very important functions in the development of cell biology and in the cell signaling, and that we have already covered in the cell cycle regulation part and the cell signaling part as well. And we have discussed several different mechanisms and the types of receptors that plays an important function in the cell signaling. So over here we are going to start off with the discussion of structure of plasma membrane, and we'll start off with the discussion of lipid bilayer nature of the plasma membrane. This would be followed by the discussion of phospholipid structure, and we are going to see what kind of different phospholipids and what structure are associated with the plasma membrane, of course, as well. And this would be followed by the discussion of lipid raft and glycolipids. We are going to see what happens when there is a lipid that accumulates certain different types of carrier proteins to make a lipid raft, and what difference in the thickness comes when there is a presence of lipid rafts. And this would be followed by the discussion of glycolipids, and we are going to see what role they play in the membrane functions and the structure of the plasma membrane. Now this would be followed by the discussion of membrane proteins, of course, and we are going to see the different functions of the membrane phospholipids and how they play a critical role in the transmission of cell signaling. We are going to see the example of phospholipase C as well, that we have already discussed in the previous section, that how phospholipase C plays an important factor in the activation of phosphatidylinositol phosphatase, which basically activates IP3, and it also activates pKa, and together what they do is basically they cause the exclusion of increase of the calcium ions from the endoplasmic reticulum so that the secretory vesicles can move out of the cell. So we are going to see the functions of the membrane phospholipids in this particular perspective as well. This would be followed by the lipid bilayer associated membrane proteins, and we are going to see the single pass transmembrane protein and their structure and how they are different from the beta barrels, and there are very different kind of proteins as well that are included. Now, this would be followed by the discussion of membrane-associated proteins and membrane-associated channels, and we are going to start off with the discussion of different types of channels that exist, of course. This would be followed by with the discussion of single-chain multi-pass proteins and how they are converted under the action of an enzyme activity. This would be followed by the discussion of glycocalyx, which is basically the cell coat. We are going to study its structure in detail and understand the physiological mechanisms its structure plays as an important functions for the transmission of cell signaling, of course. And of course, this would be followed by the discussion of types of channels in the membrane. We are going to see open channel, closed channel, and the voltage gated ion channels as well, that we have studied independently in different portions. We have discussed these kind of voltage gated channels, sodium potassium channels in case of transmission of nerve impulses. We have discussed the acetylcholine receptors channels that basically cause the exclusion of the potential ions, of course. And as follows, of course. This would be followed by the discussion of carrier proteins, and in this particular section our prime focus would be on the discussion of membrane transporter proteins, and we are going to see what role they play in the active transport and how that particular active transport is different from the vacillated diffusion, and how that particular active transport is different from the passive diffusion, of course, the passive transport. And we are going to see what is the difference between the passive diffusion and the carrier proteins, which are basically associated with that particular kind of transport. This would be followed by the discussion of ways of carrier-mediated transport that we are going to see in the section 4. And in the very last section, this would be followed by the discussion of sodium-potassium pump. And we have studied in detail in the physiological portions what are the different role of sodium-potassium pumps and how they are very important in the establishment of nerve potential, in the establishment of transmission of nerve impulses, and in several other mechanisms, of course, that plays a very important functions in the hyperpolarization on the synapses as well. This would be followed by the protein functions. We are going to have a look on, in a general and a broad perspective, what are the different protein functions in this particular perspective of membrane structure and function that are basically associated with the membrane. And then last but not the least, we are going to study the auxiliary transport system for ATP transport. So I hope you all are excited to learn more about this particular lecture. I'll see you in the next section. Thank you.